Thanks, guys. I am here at the Brighton Music Hall with the one and only Chris Baio. How are you, sir?
I'm good. Just finished sound check and excited to play a show tonight.
All right, so now that you all have had a look at him for a minute, you might be saying to yourself, he looks familiar. And there's a reason he looks familiar, is because Chris is in Vampire Weekend. But he is here tonight to play Brighton Music Hall with his solo project, which is just simply titled Baio. Mm-hmm. And why the choice to go with the surname, like Bon Jovi or...
Yeah, it was very, very heavy Bon Jovi influence. I guess for my whole life, people for the most part have called me Baio. What I liked about it was that it was very few letters, only 4 letters. And that means it can look larger than like a longer band name or something. I saw an interview with Peter Gabriel where like when he started titling his records, he would always do like super short titles like So, just so that way the album title could be stupidly large. And for me, there's something like Baio is just 4 letters, and also it's 3 vowels in a row at the end, and you kind of don't see it that often. I think it's interesting looking. I like the way it looked, and I think just because most people tend to call me that, I thought, yeah, why not?
Well, that's interesting that you say that, because I was watching a bunch of the videos, and you're clearly a visual guy.
Playing in Vampire Weekend, my bandmates are so like inspiring, and you know, Rostam's always so into visuals and graphic design, and that was like always a huge conversation with the band. So for me, I wanted to learn how to be a producer, and when I did that, it was only natural to start like thinking about the visual identity for my record. A couple days learning how to edit, and I directed my first music video for the track The Names a couple weeks ago.
Oh, sister of pearl, I didn't change, yes, I found the world.
When you make your own record, you do kind of get to make this whole world. It's so much more than just the music. I knew what the album cover was going to be. Just listening to a blank MP3 was one thing, but then all of a sudden attaching the like album art to the MP3, it suddenly just feels more realer.
It becomes something. It's
Yeah,
like
definitely.
in front of your eyes. When I was listening to it, I was like, okay, so this guy, he's young, but he clearly a David Bowie fan, I'm guessing.
Yes. I guess with the record, I wanted it to be kind of like maybe like a 70s art rock album in like structure, but then the pop element of it being kind of like 80s pop, 80s synth pop. And I think I found like experimenting with my voice, I like the deep register, and I think like a deep male voice is in a lot of ways very evocative.
Being in a band where somebody else is the singer,
Yeah.
and then you decide to do your own project, is that because you already know that you have this voice, or is it a process to find the voice?
It was a process. I think it started just with having, you know, melodies or beats or ideas for tracks, and then kind of realizing that the only way they would ever become real would be if I sang them, and I kind of experimented. There's a very early version of my album with me singing kind of very thin-voicedly, and it's not a very good album. And like,
so go out and get it.
Yeah, well, it's hidden in the recesses of a hard drive somewhere at my place. But it's it was a process, and like it took time to get it right, I think.
And has it been liberating for you being a solo artist?
Yeah, I love it. I guess I just always have loved playing music, and for me, it's exciting to do it in whatever medium or means. So I love playing bass in Vampire Weekend. I love trying to come up with the best possible bass line for a song that someone else wrote. That to me is like always an exciting challenge that I'm up for. I've scored 2 movies, and that's an example where you're really purely executing someone else's vision. You're trying to come up with the music that they want for their film, and I love that. And I love that I have this thing where I have complete and utter control over this project. So yeah, it's nice.
But I wanted to ask you about, it's called Somebody Up Here Likes Me. Nick Offerman in it, Ron Swanson from Parks and Rec. And it's a really, I mean, it seemed like that was a good place for you to start finding what your solo voice was like, or instrumental voice was like.
Yeah, absolutely. I got to a place where I was able to put out my first EP of mostly instrumental music, and then kind of went through a similar process with my singing voice. This run has felt so good, and really felt like people in the crowd, at least some, really know the music. And a couple times, like playing Sister of Pearl, it's like felt as good on stage as any other musical experience I've ever had.
Before I let you go, I have to ask you the question that everybody asks you that you're super tired of. Scott Baio from Happy Days is his relative. Second cousin?
First cousin once removed, so it's my grandfather's brother's son.
And was he someone that you knew growing
No,
up?
I've never met him, actually.
You've never even met him?
I've emailed with him before.
Well, maybe he'll show up at a show,
Never
and you
know.
guys will get to hang out. Well,
Yeah.
thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it, and have a great show tonight.
Thank you. I am really thrilled to be here and playing for a show in Boston tonight.
All right, back to you guys.